Hafaday, Lesor Mamwai, good morning, and welcome to your house chamber, your house session, to all those in the viewing public, those in the gallery, and those viewing on social media. Welcome. I now call this first day special session to order. Please let us all rise for a moment of silent prayer. Thank you, everyone. I now recognize the clerk to please call the roll.
Representative Fanta.
Present.
Representative Valdon. Representative Fato.
Present.
Representative Beneventi.
Very good.
Representative Angelo Komatsu.
Present.
Representative Diego Komatsu.
Present.
Representative Joel Komatsu.
Yeah.
Representative Vicente Komatsu.
Present.
Representative Costro.
Stigat.
Representative Joseph Flores.
Present.
Representative Marissa Flores.
Present.
Representative Manglonia.
Present.
Representative Vogel.
Present.
Representative Omar.
Present.
Representative Probst.
Present.
Representative Sablan.
Stigat.
Representative Nicolas.
Present.
Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Representative Yanktamay.
Yangi.
Representative Yumo. Mr. Speaker, all 20 members are present.
Thank you, clerk. With all 20 members present, that makes up a quorum to move forward with today's session. And before we proceed with public comments, I'd like to recognize the floor leader for the suspension of rules to amend today's agenda. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to suspend Rule 3, Section 6, so that the House amends its agenda to include unnumbered bills and resolutions not filed with the House Clerk's office 72 hours in advance when a notice for session was given and posted. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the suspension of Rule 3, Section 6, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fanta. Representative Valdon. Representative Fato.
Yes.
Representative Beneventi.
Good.
Representative Angelo Komatsu.
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu.
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu.
Good.
Representative Vicente Komatsu.
Yes.
Representative Castro.
Good.
Representative Joseph Flores. Representative Marissa Flores.
Yes.
Representative Manglonia.
Yes.
Representative Vogel.
Yes.
Representative Omar.
Good.
Representative Probst.
Yes.
Representative Sablan.
Good.
Representative Nicolas.
Yes.
Representative Yanktamay.
Our.
Representative Yumo.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, all 20 members voted yes.
Thank you, clerk. With all 20 members voting yes, the motion carries. We now proceed to item number 2, public comments, and the podium is open for public comments. You'll be given 5 minutes. Please state your name and the entity you represent, and please try to keep comments within the subjects being covered in today's agenda. Seeing that there is none, we now move down to item number 3, adoption of journals, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 3, adoption of journals, we have 3 items. The first is the 5th day, 3rd regular session journal dated March 13, 2024, 6th day, 3rd regular session journal dated March 28, 2024, and the first day, 1st special session journal dated April 11, 2024.
Thank you, clerk. And with that, I recognize the floor leader for the adoption of journals.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of the 5th day, 3rd regular session journal dated March 13, 2024, 6th day, 3rd regular session journal dated March 28, 2024, and the 1st day, 1st special session journal dated April 11, 2024. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the adoption of journals, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Okay, all in favor to adopt the journals, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 4, introduction of bills, and with the suspension of rules. Please raise your hand and you'll be recognized. I recognize Representative Marissa Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I'd like to introduce House Bill 23105 to integrate the Board of Parole into the Department of Corrections, introduced by myself and several others. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Representative Marissa Flores. Your House bill will be referred to the Committee on JGO. Any further unnumbered House bills? Recognize Representative Manny Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce a House bill to establish a police reserve unit within the Department of Public Safety, introduced by Floor Leader Probst and myself and several others.
Thank you, Representative Manny Castro. I'll have that referred to at a later time, and please provide a copy to the clerk. Any further unnumbered House bills? Ready? Okay, and just a reminder for those that have introduced unnumbered bills to please email the Word copy or document to the House clerk. Thank you. We now move down to item B, House local bills, and I would like to recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Officially introducing House Local Bill number 23-45 to allow for cannabis manufacturing and processing for conditional use within certain zoning districts, offered by myself. And if I may continue, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you have the floor.
Officially also introducing House Local Bill number 23-46 to allow for furniture stores for permitted use within certain zoning district. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative John Paul Sablan. I now recognize Representative Ralph Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now introducing House Local Bill 2347 to appropriate $348,000 from revenues collected for the 3rd Senatorial District pursuant to Saipan Local Law 22-6 and for other purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. And my apologies, colleagues. Before we move forward with the other local bills, I'd like to recognize the floor leader for the suspension of rule regarding the local bills going to Ways and Means for this session. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I move to suspend Rule 8, Section 1, that requires local appropriation bills to the House Committee on Ways and Means. So moved.
Thank you. Motion has been made by the floor leader and has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Okay. Did you have your hands up?
Yes.
Chairman, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to clarify, so I missed this morning's leadership, and just to get a clarification as to the reason why the local appropriation will be sent direct to the delegation. As you know, the last appropriation from the 3rd Senatorial District, it took over, I believe, over a month to get the appropriation to the delegation. So we need to, pretty much get the actual amount, and is the appropriation ready for appropriation? Regardless, even if we got the certification, it appears that we experience a delay. So that's why I'm requesting that the Ways and Means go ahead and entertain the local bills. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. If I may, if there's no objection to the, or Vice Speaker, would you like to go ahead, Vice Speaker?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rep. Yumo, I requested this earlier during leadership because the bill that I'm introducing, House Local Bill 2349, there was an issue of the work order number, which was rejected by Finance. CUC is ready to move forward with the project. It's just they need the proper work order. There was a kind of an oversight on my part, and I apologize, members and Rep. Omar. So it's pretty much a simple amendment to Saipan Local Law 23-04. So there's a urgent need to push this forward so that they can move forward with the project. And that's what the reason why I requested from the Speaker, if we can just move it straight to delegation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. Representative Yumo, did you want to respond before
Yeah,
I
well,
recognize
just to
Representative Omar?
clarify, because I understand the changes as well as because the suspension of rules will allow all appropriations to go straight to the delegation. I believe we have also the second senatorial district that is requesting funding. So does this mean that the I guess the certification is ready by 2348?
Thank you, Chairman. And that's your question to Representative San Nicolas, Chairman?
Yes, I understand it's the certification is directed to the delegation of the second senatorial district, but we weren't included in the communication. So that was just my clarification as to why the Ways and Means wasn't included in the communication between Senator King, neighbors, and Representative San
Yeah.
Nicolas.
Chairman, before we tackle that bill, for now, right now, we are under the motion, and I would like to recognize Representative Omar first. You raised your hand earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just gonna clarify on the Vice Speaker's position on for local law 2304 we introduced together. So it's just the work order number to be amended, and everything else on the law seems in place. So that's just the request for the suspension at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. I have no, if I may speak,
Yeah,
I have no objection to the request made by the
Precinct 4, yeah.
the precinct 4. It's just the precinct 3 and the precinct 6 that I have objection to. It should go to the proper.
You're objecting to Precinct 3, Rep?
Well, because I'm objecting. It's just because it took over a month to get that appropriation ready, and I want to make sure that the funds is there before we pass something down to the SNAL Ways and Means.
Well, the motion's on the floor, so I'm gonna let the vote fall where it may. Okay, so any further discussion? Recognize Representative John Paul Sablan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do also have wanted to address my concern. So maybe perhaps since we already made that motion by the floor leader and it has been seconded, I know that Precinct 4 had already addressed their concerns on that. Can we have our very good and strong congressman from the second senator to also explain to us if this appropriation under House Local Bill 23-48 has a certification of funds, and are we ready to move this to the prospective delegation? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Recognize Representative San Nicolas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think everybody has of course, the Chairman of Ways and Means have the certification of funds of this before pre-filing. I don't know if you get it or not, but this is the certification of funds came from the municipal treasury. This is from the BIG tax that I need to introduce today. Is it what else do you need, Mr. Chairman?
If I may, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Chairman.
I'm not objecting to the. I'm just objecting to the I made a concern earlier that the letter wasn't addressed to Ways and Means. Normally, with the rules, we've been doing this for a year. The Ways and Means, we get notification. We communicate with Miss Barbara just to verify, and that just the letter was just made to Representative San Nicolas and Senator King neighbors. So I have no objection to that. Just we weren't included in the communication, so we just wanted to verify.
You want to verify for?
I think
Can you be specific, Mr. Chairman? Because this is from the se- yeah, the second senatorial district from BIG. Yeah, but the rules is not inconsistent with the law right now.
Okay, I'll call for a quick recess now. Before we went to recess, there was a discussion regarding some of the local appropriations, but there's a standing motion on the floor to suspend Rule 8, Section 1. And the concern brought up by the chairman is coming from the second senatorial district that if the Ways and Means can be included in the flow of communications regarding the certification of funds and other important communications such as it pertains to the local bill being introduced. Noted, no Representative San Nicolas? Okay, thank you. So with that, again, the motion still stands to suspend Rule 8, Section 1. It's been seconded. Discussion's been going on. Any further discussions?
Ready?
Ready? Okay. All those in favor for the motion made by the floor leader, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Okay, we'll go ahead and proceed. And I recognize Representative Ralph Yumu to go ahead and introduce your bill.
I did already, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
okay, my bad. My bad.
It goes to Rep. Patel.
Recognize Representative Patrick San Nicolas.
Susumasi, Mr. Speaker. This is to officially introduce House Local Bill 23-48 to appropriate 51,000 dollars and 17 for the personnel and operation of Tina Casino Gaming Commission control pursuant to 10 CMC subsection 2581 and 1 CMC subsection 1405 to 35 myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Patrick San Nicolas. I now recognize the Vice Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Formally introducing House Local Bill 2349, and there's a technical on the title. It's supposed to read a local appropriation bill for an act for the third senatorial district to amend section 2E of Saipan Local Law 23-04 to ensure that the proper work order number is being funded. Introduced by myself. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Vice Speaker. I now recognize Representative Julie Ogle.
Thank you, Speaker. Today, I will be officially introducing a House Local Bill, appropriation bill for an act for the First Senatorial District to reappropriate the $88,469.75 under Rota Local Law 20-04 to cover the cost of signs throughout the entire Rota municipality. Introduced by myself. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Julie Ogle. Any further House Local Bills to be introduced? Okay, ready? We'll move down to item number 5, introduction of resolutions. Any resolutions to be introduced unnumbered? Okay, I'd like to recognize myself introducing House Commemorative Resolution number 23-8 to honor and commend the life and legacy of the late Honorable Pedro R. de Leon Guerrero for his lifelong dedication and extensive contributions to the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, and to extend our heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family. Introduced by myself and several others, and with no objection, I'd like to introduce this as a committee of the whole. No objection? Okay, thank you. And with that, we will place Commemorative Resolution 23-8 on calendar for today. Thank you. So with no further resolutions, we move down to messages from the Governor. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 6, messages from the Governor, we have Governor's Communication 2392 to 2396.
Thank you, Clerk. Any discussions under messages from the Governor? Recognize the Vice Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just wanted to formally thank the Governor, the administration for signing into law House Bill number 23-80, which became Public Law 23-19. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussions? Recognize Representative Atal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just want to extend our appreciation to the administration for signing House Bill number 23-104 HD1, SD1, which is now Public Law 23-18, to make sure that the retirees continue their 25% pension on top of their 75%. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Atal. Any further discussions under Governor's communication? If nothing further, under Governor's Communication 23-94, informing the House of his renomination of Dr. Jack A. Angelo to serve as a member of the PUC representing the 3rd Senatorial District. I refer this to the House Committee on PUTC. The deadline is July 4th. Okay. Moving forward, we move down to Senate communications, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 7, Senate Communications, we have Senate Communications 2382, 83, 84, 2386, and 2387. 2385 has been read on the April 11, 2024 session.
Noted, and thank you, Clerk. And with that, I recognize the floor leader for the motion to accept Senate communications.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House accept Senate Communications 2382 through 2387, with the exception of 2385, so that it becomes property of the House. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been.
Mr. Speaker, I think 2384 should remain on Senate communications rather than adopting it and making it the property of the House, so we can meet with the commissioners before we send that to action.
Okay. Okay. Quick recess. from recess. Before we went on recess, I was about to make the call on the motion by the floor leader, but due to further clarifications, I'm going to recognize the floor leader to withdraw and make a new motion regarding accepting Senate communications. So, floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House accept Senate Communications 2382, 2383, 2386, and 2387 so that they become the property of the House. So moved.
Thank you. Motion was made by the floor leader to accept the following Senate communications, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Okay. All in favor to accept Senate communications, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, colleagues. And with that, Senate Communication 2384 will remain on agenda. Senate Communication 23-83 will be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. I'd like to call for a quick recess again, colleagues. From recess. Before we went on recess, we were under Senate Communications, and I just needed to get a further clarification under Senate Communication 23-82, and I will refer that to the Committee on Ways and Means. Thank you, colleagues. And with nothing further, we move down to item number 8, House Communications, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 8, House Communications, we have House Communications 23-110 to 23-119.
Thank you, clerk. Any discussions under House Communications? I recognize Representative Ralph Yumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On House Communication 23-119, I have no objection to that letter that's given by Representative San Nicolas. I think he wants to clarify the rules.
Rep. San Nicolas, you have the floor.
You're aware of the letter that I forward to your office. And I see the copy of our good floor leader and our very good chairman of Ways and Means. I mean, the Communication 23-119 is to request the amendment for House Rules 8, Section 1, because I strongly believe, Mr. Speaker, that the such rules conflicts with the Local Law Act of 1983. Under House Rules 8, Section 1, a House Local Appropriation Bill shall be referred to the House Ways and Means Committee upon introduction. However, the Local Law Act of 1983 and House Rule 9, Section 3 require a referral of all House Local Appropriation Bills to appropriate senatorial district delegation after one legislative day, barring any objections from the members of the House. Mr. Speaker, as I pointed out in my letter, Public Law 19-34, which amended the Local Law Act of 1983, clearly stated that all local appropriation bills shall be exempted from the 3 legislative day requirement. This means that a local appropriation bill would sit on a desk for one day, the day was introduced. And the day we may object to the appropriation bill if the bill was not local in nature. And if such objection is adopted, then it could be referred to the House Ways and Means Committee. And should there be no objection, then House shall refer the House Local Appropriation Bill to the appropriate senatorial district delegation. The, each and every one of us here, members of the House, knows that cinema statutes take precedence over House our rules of procedures. And in any case where there is a conflict or inconsistency between the statute and internal rules, which in this case, the House rules, the statute must be followed. This is to prevent the arbitrary of unlawful actions and to guarantee that the rule of law is respected and maintained. As representative of the Commonwealth, all of us, we must uphold the law, specifically the local law of 1983, and ensure our actions and decisions are in accordance with these provisions. I respectfully, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Floor Leader, and Mr. Chairman of the Ways and Means, and every member of this House, that we amend the House Rules 8, Section 1, by deleting the referral of House Local Appropriation Bills to the Committee on Ways and Means. With that, Mr. Speaker, I will yield for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader Santa Claus. Representative Ralph Yumo, you have the, huh?
Well, is this a motion?
No, it's under House Communications. So,
Like, what's going on here?
yeah. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussions under House Communications? Ready? Okay, with that, I will refer House Communication 23-119 or 119 to the Ad Hoc Committee. Ad Hoc Committee, you've been activated. I know it's been over a year, but there you go. We move down now to item number 9, communications from the Judicial Branch, and we have none. Item number 10, communications from departments and agencies. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 10, the communications from department and agencies, we have one item, Department Agency Communication 23-18.
Thank you, Clerk. Any discussions under communications from departments and agencies? Ready? Ready? All right. We move down to item number 11, miscellaneous communications, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. Under item 11, miscellaneous communications, we have miscellaneous communications 2373 to 2377.
Thank you, Clerk. Any discussions under miscellaneous communications? Ready? Okay, we'll move down to item number 12, reports of standing committees, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. Under item 12, reports of standing committees, we have two items ready for House action, Standing Committee Report 2375 and 2376.
Thank you, Clerk. Now I'd like to recognize the floor leader for the adoption of committee reports. Floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 2375, reporting on House Local Bill number 2343, entitled "To Amend Tinian Local Law 237 and for Other Purposes." Your House Committee on Ways and Means recommends that the local appropriation bill be transmitted to the Tinian and Aguiguan legislative delegation for its action. So moved.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for the adoption of Standing Committee Report 23-75, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Standing Committee Report number 23-75 is hereby adopted. Floor leader.
I now move for the adoption of Standing Committee Report number 2376, reporting on House Local Bill number 2344, entitled "To Appropriate the Sum of $66,210 from the fund remaining balance under Saipan Local Law 1924, Business Unit 7177, and for the payment of public recreational facilities, utility costs, and repairs in Precinct 4, repairs of public park playground equipment in Precinct 4, repairs of public restroom facilities in Precinct 4, and for fuel and lubrication and for other purposes. Your House Committee on Ways and Means recommends that the local appropriation bill be transmitted to the stipend. So moved.
Thank you, Floor Leader. I think that was audible enough.
Cancel that part.
A motion has been made by the Floor Leader to adopt Standing Committee Report 23-76, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? All in favor for the motion to adopt, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Standing Committee Report 23-76 hereby adopted. Thank you, colleagues. We now move down to item number 13, reports of special and conference committees, and I recognize the clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under item 13, reports on special and conference committees, we have one item, special committee report number 23-4.
Thank you, clerk. And with that, I recognize the Floor Leader for the motion to adopt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the adoption of Special Committee Report number 23-4. The Special Committee on Federal Assistance and Disaster-Related Funding reports instances of contempt to the House by majority vote pursuant to Title I, Section 1306 of the Commonwealth Code. The committee directs the Speaker to certify the contempt statement to the CNMI Attorney General for the prosecution of Mr. David D.L.G. Atlig in the Commonwealth Superior Court. So moved.
Thank you, Floor Leader. A motion has been made for the adoption of Special Committee Report number 23-4, and it has been seconded. Any discussions? Ready? Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fanta? Representative Valdon? Representative Fato?
Yes.
Representative Benavente?
Good.
Representative Angelo Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Diego Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
Good.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Castro?
Hanggan.
Representative Joseph Flores?
Yes.
Representative Marissa Flores?
Yes.
Representative Manglonia?
Yes.
Representative Vogel?
Yes.
Representative Omar?
Hunggan.
Representative Probst?
Yes.
Representative Sablan?
Hunggan.
Representative Cindy Claus? Representative Yang Tamay?
Aware.
Representative Yumo? Representative Joel Komatsu?
Good.
Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, 18 members voted yes and 2 members voted no.
Thank you, clerk. With 18 voting yes, Special Committee Report number 23-4 is hereby adopted. Thank you, colleagues. With that, we move down to item number 14, unfinished business. We have none. Item number 15, resolution calendar. We have commemorative resolution number 23-8. I would like to leave that on calendar as there's one concern that was brought up this morning, and I just want to make sure we get that all squared out with the family and maybe act on it on the next session. So with that, we have nothing else on resolution calendar and bill calendar as well. Colleagues, before we move to miscellaneous business, I'd like to go back to public comments. If there's no objection. No objection. Okay. We have one member of the community in the gallery. So, Mrs. Hofschneider, I'll give you the opportunity to state your public comment. Please state your name and the entity you represent, and please try to make sure that your comment is related to the agenda. And you'll be given 5 minutes and nothing more. Podium is open, ma'am.
Fede, buenas. Good morning. Dankula Sizus Masi, Mr. Speakers and members. Neste na oportunidad, tatunga pago na diano, finatay familia, so utatsagino, pata na balonsya. no finininang tis pabitutun binoy dong kuluna si zus masil okay abi utungan na si Representative na BJ Ato then si Representative Camacho but it's 25% na para retirees dong kuluna si zus masil nestis and para lokis yang kumani CDA SIDA ni utungan na mag-grill giulog gi Senate lo it's gonna malok is the community coming together pareolog is ani opiate for so long gof atman o atan esti sa fera galong mi familia lo bulagi komunidad manin affecta sa importantisti. Lo kay gizu mas gini por esti Senate communication 20 dispensa. So ngukasta gizu mizu session na in refers to by ways and means pues binanga mas lo i Senate communication 2382 go dispensa go Siliana sa Bonhoff Schneider gay gizu gini gin uge lulu i matua council for native chamor advancement gay gizu gini por esti na nuhunta i amisin na oktu i Senate Bill 2361 Paugusta Senate Bill 2361 Senate Draft 1 and tilatizo no ma-introduce gi Senate President Edith Dillon Guerrero ma-ikungog gi public comment gi April 8 no amendment gi April 9 pues pogo gagi gini gi pisod mizo no kumekento su gini sa importante na mapega sa gati gi ways and means na kun favor tenggef atan is na seksyon na ginagago gi amendment gi section 8390 B and C and D actually. Zagwaha siya giginago ni para na siguro, debi na ta na siguro na an manoi i administrator ni para settlement fund administrator ni pudet ni para giza po decidi si appeal process talo na manasiguro na no gwaha no magay no inadahi kita mano man matrotas ti sa esta si siya no majorya 90% of istina retirees and tilatizo pura tototono za pago no na ora ni 20 años na tempo bulas taman matay guasta man matay bula man omku puro man omku si siya na tawta za latisti sa ti iso niya tamano songang gifinin na ti iso niya sti iso i gobernamento ni so gusti pues animalo mi retirement pago settlement staba retirement fund pago settlement fund gof importante na tabira hitati ufa fasinamzo utungan na guys music legislation in bring up sti public law 6-17 is 6-17 sign is si former governor si defunto no governor Pedro Tenorio si Teno zagwaha sinangan niya ginugizo niya communication za izino sa sangan na importante na pataatan pati historical facts zata ugiyahit mo na gesti italan niya po si public law 6-17 asasangan na although I signed to be quote unquote okay asangan is sigi April interestingly April 3rd, 1989. Logi sinangan niya, sige pa bi spice nanzo. Niya, although I have signed this bill into law, I have attached for your review and consideration a copy of specific concerns raised by the acting administrator of the retirement fund. On behalf of the board, I requested the legislature to review their concerns. I request or they say to review their concerns and expedite the necessary amendments in order to prevent jeopardizing the retirement fund. And fast forward today, I think the public policy legislators with the governor and the attorney general have actually neglected these concerns. And that's why we arrived today with the issues of a settlement fund. 25% is not secure after August. And correct me if I'm wrong, August 2024, the budget ends on September 30. So therefore, the 25% will continue. Tempi para mo na siga taligodiski. No, tibinanak ko kwesti sa binangga sa sus masi no Mr. Speaker so tunganen polo gato ways and means sabi pegagi. Lo por favor. Debitaten sa historical facts. I-data, we need to go back. Zatazuda. Tastisya naman los prohibus. Ti iso niya. Za masutsuzo retirement fund, zo comprendis ti na iso masusedi. Ti iso niya, debita na dinansi. If we can fix it for other people, we can surely fix it for our manomko. Zanedzi beneficiaries ni manmote siya ni siya pago no man office niya toma pa deseda tamano nilala niya. As sus masis o appreciate isti na in Spanish and miseros para este. Sta.
Thank you, Mrs. Hofschneider. We'll now go back to, before we continue on, back to miscellaneous, just regarding Representative Manny Costru's bill, House Bill 23-106. Your House bill will be referred to the Committee on JGO. Okay, thank you, colleagues. And with that, we'll proceed back to item number 17, miscellaneous business, and the floor is open for discussions. Floor is open under recognized Representative TJ Manglonia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The news of Hyatt closing its doors is troubling. First of all, I want to thank them for their contributions throughout the years to the Commonwealth. And honestly, my heart goes out to all of the staff that may be losing their jobs as a result. Quite frankly, there are so many businesses that are struggling to stay open at the moment. And there are still so many of our government employees on austerity. Now, I understand that I'm a member of the minority, so I'm not privy to all the conversations and plans of the current administration. But from my observation over the past year, things have not seemed to get any better with our economic situation. And to be honest, if all we're going to do is blame the past, then we will never move ahead. I lost my daughter last year. And as heartbreaking as that experience was, I would not be sitting here before you in this chamber if I continued to focus and cling on the thought that I could change the past. To be honest, going through that experience has only made me a stronger person today. Thankfully, because of her love for me, I choose to look for the good in every situation. I try to focus on positivity and spreading love and light, because life is too short to waste, and I will not waste another moment of my time not speaking my truth. So even though things may seem bleak at the moment for our islands, I still see hope for our future. And I look at this as an opportunity to learn from our mistakes, not dwell on them, and to rebuild even better. But there are a few things that need to be addressed. First off, if our only solution is to raise taxes and fees at the moment, then we will only kill our business sector quicker. We charge a pure tax, the BGRT, meaning that they don't receive anything in return like the average working person does every year. They don't even receive so much as a thank you at times from the government, yet we still want to take more while we don't even provide exceptional service to them or any sort of incentives for them to do business here. No offense to anyone working in our government agencies, but our business license and permitting processes are in need of a massive overhaul, something I'm desperately trying to push for while I'm still in office. We need to find more ways to support our existing businesses and entice more business activity so we can grow the pool that we can collect from, not shrink it. We need to find more ways to be more business friendly. I know that doesn't mean that we're just going to let anything slide, but we need to find more ways to create a more enticing tax system that will benefit both our government and those who choose to invest in it. Give opportunities a business to grow and become more stable, and assist them during tough times. Running businesses is hard enough, but having an unsupportive government makes it even harder. Finally, we must listen to the plea from our existing hotels and businesses to welcome back all Asian markets, and all markets for that matter, that are willing to partner with us and send tourists here. These businesses have invested so much in our community, and we cannot afford to, at this point, to pivot away from those that can provide much needed stability to our tourism industry. We all know that this is our bread and butter, and it's not hard to see the current existing markets are just not enough to sustain us. We must trust those that are tasked with safeguarding our borders, and we will continue to do so regardless of where our visitors are coming from. And if we have more economic activity, then we can provide more resources to help that cause. If we can help stabilize our current business landscape and give more of a chance for all of our businesses to survive and thrive, then I truly believe that we're only one or two major investors away from turning the ship around. And if the current administration has them ready down the pipeline, I truly applaud their efforts. But if not, the only way we can do this is by fixing our current systemic issues and working together. Leadership starts from the top down, and I urge that we all come together, put politics and personal biases aside, and help fix these long-standing issues to make room for bigger, brighter things and restore hope to the CNMI. Our people deserve no less. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield my time.
Thank you, Representative Manglonia. Floor is still open. Representative Marissa Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There's a lot going on in our community, and I think there is a misconception about what has been happening with the permanent closure of the Hyatt brand. And that is of a concern because now we will have displaced workers, which obviously our social welfare systems will probably not be able to address. As we know, they are on a grant that is appropriated on a yearly basis, and we now have to figure out how to safeguard and have the systems in place that will protect and at least offer some kind of security. We do not have, and we've never been involved in the unemployment insurance program, but that is something now we need to take a look into with the Secretary of Labor and the private sector. There are many nonprofit organizations aimed at building relationships with the private businesses here. And while they are privy to certain conversations within their network, we do see some of them come up and pay us a visit. It is unfortunate, as the governor mentioned, that we weren't included in this conversation, but it is happening. The brand is leaving. And we must continue to figure out ways to improve our Commonwealth. And that stems from looking at the bigger issue. And this is a global problem, not just a Commonwealth problem. But we all know in terms of economics, whatever affects us globally will affect us here, no matter what. And I think Rep. Aldan has been discussing that in terms of fossil fuel. But now this is taking a switch because this might even just call for an economic disaster at this point. So what do we do? And while I have to, give credit to our colleague, Rep. TJ, I would be remiss if I also don't mention that the special committee is now tasked with looking at a lot of the problems during the past administration. And this special committee was designed to investigate the abuse of public funds during this period. We had just voted on the special committee report addressed to the former Secretary of Finance, Mr. David Atalik. So while we sit here and we talk about all of this stuff that's going on in our community, the livelihood of our people, the economy, the administration, past and present, we still need to figure out what happened to the millions of dollars that were siphoned and misused. Because if it wasn't for that, and we used that money correctly, we wouldn't be here in this position. We wouldn't. But that's the obvious. Now, while some reaped the beauty of those funds, the rest of us had to suffer, and we continue to suffer to this day. So as much as I don't want to look to the past, I will look to the past. I urge all the agencies, NAP, Medicaid, CHCC, Department of Labor, to please let us work together and figure out a way to safeguard all of these displaced people in the private sector, because this is going to be a problem. And while we're looking at the lack of investment coming in, this will also have a great impact on the fiscal year budget 2025. So we need to figure out, work together, be present, be active, regardless of whatever political party one sits in. We're still individuals, we're still members of our society, and yes, we all deserve better. But the only way to do that is to do the right thing so that we can be afforded the best system in our Commonwealth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you, Representative Marissa Flores. Recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. And I think my good colleagues for bringing up something that is so important. I've also wanted to address Hyatt Regency in particular, among a few things. And yes, it is with great sadness that they've closed their doors. It is shocking, and it's sudden, and it's saddening and surprising. I think those are common words that have been used. But there are, there's a lot of history and memory for, I think, everyone in this room. All of us have had such special, wonderful memories with the Hyatt Regency. So yes, our hearts and go out to the employees who are losing their jobs, who are going to have to look for new jobs and new opportunities, and after spending and dedicating so much of their life to the Hyatt. Again, it's sad, and I'm deeply saddened and hurt. But I think we have to look at the bigger picture here, and we have to look at what's been at play. And I say this, my dear colleagues, because I want you to think about something for a second, if I may. All of my dear colleagues here. Do you know the number of Japanese tourists that are anticipated to travel to Guam this fiscal year, just from Japan alone? Can anybody tell me that number? Take a guess.
400.
Japan. Did you say 400?
400,000.
Wow. Okay. Speaker must have seen my notes. Yes, 400,000 tourists are anticipated to travel to Guam from Japan this fiscal year, at a time when the yen is weak. Japanese aren't supposed to be traveling anymore. All this. Do you know how many Japanese tourists we have received for the CNMI so far in this fiscal year? 8,610 Japanese. It's a fraction. It's a tithing of what Guam is receiving. And of course, you're saying, well, so you're giving in statistics. What does that matter? There's a few things that matter. Guam is literally 100 miles away, 25-minute flight. They are killing us. Japanese are flocking there. Why are they no longer coming to Saipan, the CNMI? That's the million-dollar question. That's what we need to be asking ourselves. And we have to look at ourselves and understand why they're not coming. And I want to say this because while some think that we aren't doing anything, we just yesterday had a Miscellaneous working group. We had the president of Chamber of Commerce, directors come in here, grants management, several of our colleagues sitting here for 3 hours talking about things, talking about Hyatt and many other things. But you know what? Some of the hotel managers and owners have discussed with myself and some of my colleagues when in discussions. Here's something. They have repeatedly said there's nothing to do for our tourists after the sun goes down, after 6 p.m. Okay? Now, what does that mean? That means that what activities do we have to offer them? And then you look at Guam. What does Guam have to offer? Well, they have Tubon Bay. They have a lot of things that are going on actively at night that welcome tourists. What do we have going on at the Paseo and around Garapan? What activities do we have in our villages that are offered to our tourists? Besides the beautiful, which is something critical, coming for the sun and the sea and the sand. Something that has always brought a tourist in: the diving, the spectacular beaches, and the warmth and love from our people. These are great things, but it's not enough to bring them back here. You know, we are getting slammed because we're being told that we're not doing enough because the supposed pivot away from China. And when I hear this, I am kind of concerned, because even if this discussion with the pivot from China, can I ask you, can the people from the People's Republic of China come into the CNMI right now without a visa? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Can they do the same in Guam? No, they can't. Does that give us a special, unique advantage? Yes, it does. Can charter flights come in here? Yes. Hong Kong Airlines just suddenly is flying in. Congratulations, that's fantastic. Can they come in? Yes. Have any of us said we don't want Chinese here? None of us, not one of our members, not the speaker, and I've never heard it from the words of the governor or lieutenant governor. We welcome everyone, every tourist. And at the same time, let me remind you that we've been working hand in hand with Guam leaders on it in ensuring that we see a Guam CDMI visa waiver for the Philippines. We've been fighting for that. I have personally met with the governor, lieutenant governor, and so has several of our members. We're not sleeping. We're doing all we can right now to get this economy moving, but it takes time. The development that's happening in Garapan right now is not going to happen overnight. But we all need to pitch in to make sure it's the best product. We want tourists to come in. We want to have a better economy. It takes all of us to pitch in. Maybe we should all go on a weekend into the Paseo and plant trees or do something, or bush cut. I don't know. But I'm saying we all have to pitch in, and we can't just depend on China saving the CNMI. They talk about a try market, the success of a try market. We are right now at a try everything market. And that's the only way we're going to get by. Have we heard? I'm going to wrap this up, Speaker. Have we ever heard about the impact, how it could help us if we have military tourism? Guam is right next door, 25 minutes away. They have a ton of tourists that are military that flood the hotels and keep them at a sustainable rate. Numbers. But how many of them want to come here? A lot of them do. But guess what? Expensive tickets aren't going to allow them to. All the more reason why we've been fighting for cabotage exemption waivers and other things. These are the things that are going to move us forward. But it is going to take time. And yes, we all need to work together. Everybody, minority, leadership, all of us, put politics aside. I 100% agree with Rep. TJ Mangonia. But that means also reaching out to us in the leadership and saying, hey, what's going on? Things are not good. How can we make it better? I say this because the Hyatt Regency closed down. And you know what? You know what's the most disappointing thing? Is that no one reached out to the leadership, the governor or lieutenant governor. And how do we know that? We asked them. He said, I found out when you found out. We all read about it in the paper. That's when Speaker found out. I found out, everyone in this room, and the governor, lieutenant governor. Did Hanmi ever contact the governor and lieutenant governor and say, hey, Hyatt's on the verge of closing down. What can we do? If that had happened, the governor would have called for an emergency meeting. We would have talked about it, and we would have called in Hanmi and other agencies. Guys, this is what's happening. No notice. So moving forward, we want to make things better. It takes each and every one of us working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Floor Leader. I recognize Representative Vicente Camacho.
Thank you, Speaker. I just wanted clarification. Rep, you introduced the unnumbered bill, but you had mentioned his name. Did you author that bill?
Yeah, so both of us.
Both of
And
you.
actually, there were several signatories.
Okay, yeah. I was just a little confused there because you authored it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Representative Camacho. Representative Manny Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd also like to, address Rep. TJ. Thank you for your comments. Yes, these issues are very much true. But it didn't just happen overnight. Although Hyatt announced this all of a sudden But the issues that we're facing is an accumulation of systemic problems that happened over the year. And the key thing we really need to look at is we need to eliminate a lot of these self-interests and mutual exclusivity in our laws and in our process. When you look at even past, you cannot address the problem if you don't look at the historical um, issues that caused it. When COVID hit and we had millions of dollars, almost $1 billion of assistance, not every hotel received the same benefits. Only specific hotels received this. Some of the, the tourists were coming in. We were paying tourists to come in. Travel bucks. Certain hotels were receiving subsidies. There are some hotels like Gran Rio, World, Hyatt that maybe didn't get the same arrangement. We have to look at who are the members that are getting the most benefit. When we look at investors, it's not just about bringing in investors, but it's also investing from within. Part of the issue that floor leader mentioned was there's no activity outside of the hotel. As a tourist, if you want to go to a place, you want the local products, you want the local experience. On one of my flights, that's one thing that someone was mentioning to me: where can I get local food? And we can't answer that, because how many restaurants offer that? There's very few. One of the first bills that I introduced was a bill to help small businesses, but it's still sitting. And I'm not saying it because I introduced it, but we are trying. There's a lot of bills in here that we've been introducing to help with the situation. But a lot of these systemic issues are not going to be fixed overnight. So we really have to look at all the issues that have been accumulating over the past and correct them. But we can't address this overnight, and it takes time. So I also like to thank some of the members who are looking into some of these issues, because Rep Marissa is right. With all the money that came in, we shouldn't be in this situation. We really need to diversify our economy. We can't just rely on tourism alone. And this goes out to all the agencies. I'm not throwing you under the bus or anything, but for example, we just had Google come in to install an undersea cable. What industries can we experience from that? Did we talk to them about, expanding, maybe having more servers on island? Even when it comes to public land, we really have to Anti-Terry out there at public land, invite investors. We can't look at the same rates and everything, but if we can bring in some of those investors to create jobs, and we cannot, travel is not popular, but we can't just sit around. Some of these agencies need to go out and get those investors. But Rep TJ also did mention, yes, the process needs to be changed. And when Commerce was in here earlier, we talked about that. Where are you guys with your digitizing the application process? We introduced a digital economy advancement bill. The laws we have in place, some of them are really favorable, especially the tax laws. We get most of our money back for the taxes that we pay in. We get most of it back. It's very favorable to anyone to live here, based on the tax code that we have. But the process, yes, it does need to be improved. We really need to streamline our permitting process, and also Make it more convenient for businesses to pay taxes. But at the same time, we pay too much attention to businesses that are cheating us. And that's not a new thing. Most of you know it. With all the amount of food stamps that are going in and the BGR's not matching, there's something wrong. So we really need to look into that. And we are looking into some of that, but it does take time. And we cannot solve all these problems overnight. But we are working and we'll continue to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Manny Castro. Any further? Representative Patrick San Nicolas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is in regards with the upcoming closure of the Hyatt Regency Saipan. It's just really shocking and eventually with sadness. Hyatt Regency Saipan has been a mainstay of the cinema tourism industry for over 40 years of contribution to the cinema economy. The cinema first international hotel brand will be sorely missed. Really. Hyatt weathered many literal and figurative storms with us since it opened its doors in 1980 and roaring 1980s to the Asian financial crisis in 1990s, from the SARS and avian flu of the early 2000s to the fatal takeover of our migration in 2010s, from back-to-back super typhoons like Sodolor and Yutu, 2015 and 2018, and most recent pandemic in 2020. Hyatt has been with through thick and thin. For being part of the cinema, we gotta thank Hyatt Regency for many years of excellent customer services to our local and tourists. Thank you for the quality restaurants, spas, and other amenities that they provide residents and tourism, and much needed jobs to our people and providing training opportunities to our young generations, good stewards and environment, and for being loyal contributors to our tax base. Although it may seem ironic that Hyatt chose to announce its closure on the day we welcome back Hong Kong Airlines, and I believe greeted by Lieutenant Governor Apatang, and one day the cinema kicked off tourism month, I believe this news is a fitting reminder to us as cinema leaders that what we say and what we do matters. Let us use this challenge as an opportunity to refocus our efforts to enact policies that will attract international travel, policies that will bring long-lasting private investment to the cinema, to prosper the people of the Commonwealth. Mr. Speaker, I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader San Nicolas. Any further under miscellaneous? Recognize Representative Vincent Odan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. So while we're all talking about this, the departure of Hyatt, and as sad as it may be, let's just put let's make facts talk to speak for itself. The cost of doing business here in the cinema is very expensive. Okay, just and the fact that we do not utilize the Jones Act to our full benefit is one of those. And I hope to God that we could also, benefit from the, exemption from the cabotage law. And I hope we get that. Because it is, with the United being a monopoly, because they're the only airline industry that's going in and out, of course they're going to charge as high as they want. And so why is it expensive to do business here? Okay, just the logistics itself. And even if somebody here on the island, wants to open up a business, it's expensive to borrow money in the bank. Right now, if any bank wants to borrow money from the Federal Reserve, you're talking about 5.25% to 5.5% just for the bank to borrow money from the Federal Reserve. When the bank borrows that money, and let's say, for example, I want to open up a business and I go to that bank to borrow money, they're going to charge me anything north of 7%. So this is not just a local issue, this is a global issue. So yes, everybody's like suffering right now. Like the inflation rate is kicking up at north of 2%, and people are wondering why a pound of banana costs twice as much as last year, or why did that 50-pound sack of rice cost 2% more than last year? Well, because the inflation rate kicked in, because there's so much dollar bills out there that the price of the dollar bill doesn't amount to nothing anymore. So you need more dollars, in order to buy the same thing that you bought last year for $1. Now you need another dollar. So we would love to have a lot of business here. We would love to have a lot of investors here, but the cost of doing business is just too high. And now we're coming out with the fiscal 2025 budget. And with higher living, it's going to have a big impact on our collection. With that being said, there's going to be less money to float around for the budget. And our biggest expenses is manpower. So, pardon my French, but take a crap on one hand and reduce your expenses on the other, and let's see which one comes first. Or hope for a business to come in. Because I guarantee you, there's not going to be a lot of business coming in real quick by reducing your expenses. It's just like any household. If you lose your job, well, guess what? You got to cut your spending until you find another source. So I'm sorry to say to the public, but yes, there's going to be drastic cuts because somebody big just left us. If you're losing income, you have to find a way to make up for it, or you reduce your expenses while you're trying to find something to come in to cover for that loss. It's a lot quicker to reduce your expenses than to find another source of income. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Vincent S. Aldan. I recognize Representative Diego Camacho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do want to thank the higher agency for their 40 plus years of service to the CNMI. I'm glad that the governor instructed the Secretary of Labor to attend to the affected employees so that they may find meaningful work. That being said, when one door closes, another opens, but we don't know what's behind that next door. I do hope that CEDA, the appropriate agency, goes out there and look for investors, to include DPL, being that the property is still on lease. And I don't see it appropriate for members of this legislature to be the one to go out there and seek investors. We saw what happened with IPI. That's a bad example. So I plead with the appropriate agencies to go out there and look for new investment. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. Any further under miscellaneous? Ready? Ready? Oh, I recognize Representative Atta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you, colleagues, for sharing your points of view. You guys brought up a lot of very good points. But this is not the first time we faced this problem as a CNMI. Nobody was crying foul when Morales Resort closed down. Nobody was crying foul when Plumera Resort closed down. Nobody cried when La Fiesta closed down. and we were collecting bigger amounts of monies back then, but we still weren't able to afford the functions of the government back then. If there's one thing that's for sure, is time doesn't stop for any of us. The situation is not new. The problem's not new. The world impact now is not new. The bigger impact was COVID in that period. And in COVID, monies were just being thrown around left and right, and we used it the way they were throwing it. They were throwing it to the cinema. That was a bigger world impact right now. The thing that's affecting us is a lot of it's external. But again, in our whole history as the people of the cinema, everything is external. If there was one thing that's for sure, is the people before us maintain who we are. So I think we can still survive this impact. Yeah, we thank Hyatt for all the years they've invested into the cinema. We weren't saying all of this stuff when Marianas Resort was getting the backlash. We weren't saying it when Plumeria Resort was closing down. Why weren't we saying it when Nico Hotel closed out and Japan Airlines left the cinema? Well, those are all external effects that we have no control over. But the one thing that we did as a people of the cinema, we're still alive. We're still surviving. We still find other ways to move forward, to get to the next I guess, well, the term level up as a people. We get to that point. So we can't sit here and feel sorry for ourselves because Hyatt is leaving. There's also a contractual agreement between Hyatt and DPL. There's got to be penalties to breaching that contract. And then there's opportunities with that contract. If there's any hotel that got the sweetest deal on a land lease, it's the Hyatt, along with Crown. So can we use that to our advantage? Absolutely, we can use that to our advantage. Was there another potential investor that was seeking the property in Hyatt? Yes, there was. Can we go back to that potential investor? Maybe we can. Are there other new investors? I'm sure there are other new investors. COVID is a past. People want to travel. People want to spend their money. They want to go to different places. We just need to reinvent ourselves, just like our ancestors did over the years after all the colonizations. We can do this. We just need to work together to make sure that we come up with solutions that everybody's going to benefit, not come up with a solution from this body or from the Senate, then gets to the respective bodies and siphon it because it doesn't benefit so and so more than it benefits another person. There's a lot of legislations that we've acted on. There's a lot of legislations that are laws that are existing that we can use to our advantage. Our problem is sometimes we just forget about laws that are very good because there's a new investor in town and we create another law to protect that investor. We shouldn't. Let's go back to the drawing board. Get the agencies in here. We're working on the budget process. Let them implement a lot of those enforcement laws that they have existing right now in the cinema. I'll bet you we wouldn't be talking about how Hyatt is leaving us. We'd be talking about who's the next investor is going to take over Hyatt. Who's the next investor that's going to open up a new shop here in the cinema. That's what we're going to be talking about because now we make things a lot simpler. The problem about growth is we try to grow bigger than who we are, and we can't do that. We can only be the best people of the cinema we can ever be. We cannot be the best Chinese, Filipino, Korean. We're the people of the cinema. They come here to invest their money. Let's help them grow. So we need to do our job. Don't be afraid. Yes, Hyatt closed down. It's tough. It's going to affect our budget. But we've been through tougher times, and those people got us to this point. The very least we can do is to expand on what they gave us so the ones after us will have it easier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Atta. Any further under miscellaneous? Recognize Representative Ben Camacho.
A quick history on the Hyatt Regency that used to be Continental Hotel. And I want to thank Hyatt Regency for actually employing me when I was 17 years old. very first employment, 1978. So it's been around. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Ben Camacho, for that historical fact. Yeah. Any further under miscellaneous, Chairwoman Julie Ogo?
Thank you, Speaker. It is with, it is a sad news and disheartening that, Hyatt has been around for a little over 40 years. I was only 10 years old, I guess, when they established themselves in the cinema. And like the governor said, one door closes, another door opens for hopefully for other opportunities. And to compare the situation with the closure of Hyatt right now, Rhoda, there's only less than 2,000 people. There's a lot of businesses that have closed down, and this is just another news, out in the public. We're very resilient, you know. We rely on nature, the ocean, land, to feed us and to put food on the table. But like Rep. Marisa and the other reps here, it will not happen overnight. We've been struggling for many years in Rhoda to date, and we're very hopeful. We're still hopeful, and we thank the people of Rhoda. Thank, of course, the mayor of Rhoda, the departments, and the administration for supporting us in all our projects, and we try to find fundings for our operations for the municipality of Rhoda. So, with the Hong Kong airlines coming in, that's another door that just opened. So let's embrace and support all these companies that are trying to merge, to come into the cinema and invest, even though we're in this situation. Thank you, Speaker.
Sizusmasi, Representative Julie Ogo. Any further under miscellaneous? Ready? All right, we now move down to item number 18, announcements. Any announcements? I recognize Representative Malcolm Omar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to announce that, since COVID, the MMAC, annual MMAC, the signature event for the Commonwealth Cancer Association, their signature fundraising event has been on hold. And I'm very happy to announce that we're coming back this year. And I'm one of the team captains for the 16 teams, despite all our hardships in our community. We've, like I said, everyone's come together to, again, support a great cause. And I'd like to invite you guys tomorrow at the airport field. Grounds open at 3 p.m. and with the official opening ceremony and the walk of survivors and the tributes and stuff to start at 6 p.m. Again, that's at the airport field grounds. Thank you.
Biba Precinct 1. Thank you, Representative Omar. I recognize Representative Angelo Camacho.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd just like to invite the whole community this coming Sunday. I believe that's May 5th, over at the Cagman 2 basketball court. We're having a free concert sponsored by Remitol. So again, May 5th, this Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Angelo Camacho. Recognize Representative Julie Ogo.
Thank you again, Speaker. I know everybody's schedule for May is all booked up, and on top of my head, I would like to also invite, or NVA is inviting all the communities and members of the legislature for the Taste of the Marianas, which will open up on, I believe, this Saturday and every Saturday throughout the month of May. And in addition to that, I would also like to invite our neighboring islands to please, if you can, join us for the Gilita Festival in Rhoda. It will be held on May 24th to the 26th. And also, I would like to say Biba Mes Manamko and also Biba Mes Famalawan for the month of May. And congratulations to all the graduates and promoters for the school throughout the cinema. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Julie Ogo. I recognize Representative San Nicolas. Representative Patrick San Nicolas, you have the floor.
Tempon video. This is not an invitation, this is an announcement to invite. With all due respect, Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Jesus Masi, Representative San Nicolas. Any further under announcement? Representative Vincent Odan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And if I'm not mistaken, we also have the Taste of the Marianas, right? Coming out this Saturday, actually, at 4:30. Yeah. Oh, uh, sorry, I'm in La La Land, thinking about the budget.
Thank you, Representative Yangtamay.
Just want to continue with the chair's announcement. It's also Tourism Month. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. How about the summit? Is that coming up this month too?
So I thought we are gonna have another meeting. So
Oh, okay.
okay, so yes, the Women's Summit is scheduled for the 17th. Yes, everyone is invited, especially the gentlemen. Just bring a case of water. And then the gala is on the 18th. It's a Saturday. It's only $50. So please come and donate. You can buy your tickets at the door or at my door also. You can. Okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you, Representative Yangtamay. Any further announcements? I recognize Representative Angelo Camacho.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. I failed to announce the time. It's from 3 to 7. And also, we'll have a lot of vendors at the event too. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Angelo Camacho. Any further under announcements? Recognize Representative Ralph Yumo.
Thank you. I guess this is a good time to talk about e-gaming, or just a joke, guys. Just to inform the members, the Ways and Means will be conducting the annual budget hearings, and we're tentatively starting May 28 to June 20. So we're still finalizing the agency's availability throughout that time frame. So please do not. I left all Friday of June open, so any other hearings can happen on Fridays. Ways and Means will not have hearings on Fridays because of Rep. San Nicolas. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Yumo. Any further under announcements? Ready? Okay, with that, we now move down to adjournment, and I recognize the floor leader.
Subject to the call of the speaker, I move for adjournment.
Thank you, floor leader. A motion has been made for adjournment. It's been seconded. Any discussions? All in favor to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Session's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.